All right, hello. So, what you're about to watch is a recording of the Unleash Your Strengths live community. We actually do a meeting once a month where we help you understand your strengths to grow your life and business in a way that's fully authentic for you. So, this video is where members of the community come and they share about the difficulties they're having with their life or their business, and we talk about how to use their strengths, their unique strengths, to solve those problems. You're going to find a lot of people in this community have similar problems to you in your own situation. So what I want you to do is enjoy this video for what it's worth. And if you're interested in learning how to get your strengths or even how to use your strengths with everything you do, I've put a nice little link in the comments or the description of this video below. So for now, enjoy the Unleash Your Strengths live community call from earlier this year. Okay, so welcome everybody to the Unleash Your Strengths Community Roundtable for August 6th, 2024. How we're going to do this every month that we meet. We might be meeting more than once a month, just FYI, but we're going to start with once a month. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read to you all what's called the Unleash Your Strengths Manifesto. It's to get us all in alignment of what's amazing and why we're all here and what we're really here for. And then we're going to go over a brief little principle about taking the strengths assessment more than once. And then I'm going to share with you my old and new report. So we're going to have some fun with that. All right, ready? Here goes. So this is the Unleash Your Strengths Community Manifesto. The world, ladies and gentlemen, the world is consistently happening all around us. Let me move this up here. The truth is that there are people with their own agendas constantly fighting for your attention. Some of what they teach will empower you. Some of what they teach, sorry, hold on 1 second. Spring asked me if I'm recording. I am recording, aren't I? Yeah, I'm recording. Let me do it again. Sorry. Spring, you threw me off. Okay. Okay, let me go back. Do it again. Okay, here's the Unleash Your Strengths Community Manifesto. The world is consistently happening all around us. The truth is that there are people with their own agendas constantly fighting for your attention. Some of what they teach will empower you. Some of what they teach is designed to take your power away. We all have problems. It's part of the experience. A world without problems doesn't exist. We can either fight it and struggle forever or embrace it and grow. When it comes to solving our problems, our only hope is to stay in our strengths. When we are in our strengths, we do everything our way and it works. But only 100% of the time. We are infinitely unique. We have an infinitely unique combination of strengths and experiences that cannot be duplicated. We are created to be creators. I know this is true now. Our only hope is to be in what makes us unique as often as we possibly can, because it is our only hope to solve problems for ourselves, for our families, our communities, and the rest of the world. The only thing standing between us and staying in what makes us unique is us. When we doubt we are enough or fear we are going to be too much, we are no longer in our strengths. When we are not in our strengths, we are no longer valuable to ourselves or others. This is unacceptable. This is why the Unleash Your Strengths community is absolutely critical to the successful application of our strengths. What makes us happy and brings value to others at the same time means being who we are and relying on others to be who they are, so that we can have all access to all 34 strengths. We get to be totally vulnerable and stay in our business so we can give others space to bring their talents and skills into our lives. That's why community is everything. So here's the rules of the Unleash Your Strengths Community Roundtable. Be ready to share, friends. Be ready to share what you're working on. Be ready to share what your thoughts are. Be ready to share what you're getting from all this. Be ready to give your strengths to other people here in the group. Use the chat to offer solutions or suggestions or tips or ideas. Anytime you have an idea or something, share it in the chat. You never know what kind of difference it can make. But I warn you, stay in your business at all times. No more beliefs about what you think others are thinking. No more beliefs about what you think others are doing or feeling. No more beliefs about what you think will or won't happen, unless it energizes you. Be willing to love others for being different than you, because everyone is. When you love the differences of others, you will be able to see the value of their strengths. You will be given full access to what makes them and you unique. Welcome to the Unleash Your Strengths Community Roundtable. Okay, we all in the mood now? Okay. All right. Ladies, because I don't see any other gentlemen but me. Ladies, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a brief principle. I'm going to share with you why I took the strengths assessment again. And if you are thinking about doing it, let me give you some comfort. And then we're going to go into my strengths report and show them both of you. No, Lori. Okay. So when I first took the strengths assessment and started teaching people about strengths, I was so in love with my strengths report. I started telling everybody, don't you dare take it again. You only need to take it once for the rest of your life, and that's it. Your strengths will grow with you. Well, over the years, I've learned that's not 100% true. Actually, your strengths, I realize your strengths, when you take the strengths assessment, it actually shows what you care about. It doesn't necessarily show you what you're good at. It shows what you care about. And that what you care about, you put time and effort and emotion into. Whatever you put time, effort, and emotion into, you tend to be good at it. This is why sometimes when you take the strengths assessment and you look at a high strength, you're not sure if that's a strength or you're not seeing the strength. Sometimes because you haven't put the time and energy into it yet. But ultimately, when you take the strengths assessment, it shows what you care about, what your priorities right now are, and what are your best tools. And yes, ladies, that can change. In fact, it will change. Roughly every 5 to 10 years, you're going to go into a new phase in your life. And when you take the strengths assessment, again, what you're doing is you're renewing focus. You're pulling strengths off the shelf, the top shelf, and you're moving them to another shelf. And you're taking strengths from another shelf and moving them to the top shelf. And I want you to think of it that way. When you take the strengths assessment again, you don't lose access to strengths. You just move them to a different shelf. And imagine over time of, let's say every 5 to 10 years, you take it, at some point, you're going to have all 34 strengths completely mastered. That's the quest I'm on. That's why I took it again, because I want to master them all. I want to stop ignoring the middle ones and really saying no to the bottom ones and start using them. So when I took the strengths assessment, my goal was to be completely honest, and because I needed to know what is the honest, where am I honestly? So now we're going to see that. What I'm going to share with you right now on my screen are both of my strengths reports. Now I know it might be kind of small, so let me know if it's a little too small for you all. That rhymed. Um, Let me know if it's too small, and I can figure out a way to zoom in a bit. But what I wanted to do is show you. So on the left side is my old report from January of 2018. And on the right side is my new report on July 31st, 2024. So just a little over 6 years. Now, as you're looking at my old report, let me tell you a little bit about who I was when I took that first report. When I took that first assessment, we had just hit Blue Diamond. And all that was on my mind was, how do I get my team to build for themselves instead of building for us? Because building for us was not working. We were constantly having to push. So we were becoming drained and just full on tired from all the grinding and the pushing. And that was it. That was where we were. When I took that first strengths assessment, there was no Unleash Your Strengths. There was no Eddie Via coaching certification program. There was no I wasn't a published author at that point in time. Right. So since then, right, our business grew and I created a movement with Unleash Your Strengths. It turned into something really powerful. I became someone more focused than I thought I'd ever be. And that's why you're going to see a lot of certain what I call judgy strengths moving into the top 10, including command, right? So as you're looking at the strengths report right now and looking at the old one and the new one, any observations you have, drop them in the chat right now. I'm just giving you some thoughts to understand. And the reason I'm sharing this with you all so you can understand the principle of how to use the old report and the new report, which we'll cover today. So get out a notebook and notepad because we're going to write down some notes. Any thoughts you have, you want to put them in the chat, put them in the chat. Any observations, anything you see, put it in there. We'll talk about them together. I'm going to give you all opportunities to unmute and talk. Let me just share a few other things. Since I took that first assessment, I launched a new business called Unleash Your Strengths. My wife and I and our children have grown up a little bit more. We went from being renters to owning two homes. That was that was obviously a big shift in priorities and the way we do things. I created a movement and ultimately done 4 live events. Now it's going to be the fourth live event coming up on September. I've had some business partners come in and business partners leave. I've had some good friendships grow and some good friendships end, like a lot of changes. So for me, taking the strengths assessment again was required at some point. And finally, I just said, all right, I'm doing it. I got to see what's happening. And I'm going to share with you all how I'm using the old report and the new report. My goal is to eliminate any kind of fears and understand the value of this. This has been a very spiritual process for me. What's even better is all the people I know that know me so well, some of you all here that have known me for years, are looking at this and are not surprised. So let's talk about some major changes, right? So first off, what we do is we look at the old report and the new report, and we do the numbers, right? Everybody knows what we do is the numbers. So do the numbers on the first report. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 influencing strengths, 3 strategic thinking strengths, which means 5 influencing, 3 strategic thinking. It's all about moving people forward, thinking, creating, and learning, right? And then you got those 2 executing strengths in there, which is really relevant to point out because they're not in the new report. We'll get to that in a minute. So I went from 5 influencing and 3 strategic thinking to 6 influencing and 3 strategic thinking. So the desire to move people forward increased. I'll talk about the influencing strengths that left and the ones that came in. Do you all see that? Take a look at the influencing strengths that left and which ones came in. Let's start there because we're going to go over what does this mean to go from 5 influencing to 6 influencing. Who can tell me 1 or 2 of the influencing strengths that left, and what did those strengths probably mean, and which ones did they get replaced with? Anyone got some observations already?
Did you want us to speak it or put it in the chat?
Pick, why don't you, Robin, since you're here, why don't you point 1 that left and 1 that came in, and what do you think that means?
The self-assurance went down to number 9.
Okay.
And ideation stepped in.
Okay. So I want you to focus on the influencing strengths first. We're going to get to those other ones in a minute. So pick an influencing strength that left the top 10 and an influencing strength that came in the top 10.
Activator.
No,
activator was there. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Everybody do this in the chat. Robin's doing this out loud. What I'm trying to do is teach you all how to read strengths reports.
Well, command, I know, came in.
Okay, command came in. Yeah, that's a very judgy, influencing strength. Which one of the influencing strengths left? Can you see it?
Yeah, so self-assurance was the one that left. That was one that left. And also communication and competition.
Start with communication. So communication left, command came in. Yeah. So in your knowledge of strengths so far, what do you think that means? Communication went out, command came in.
That you're focusing less on what other people are doing and you're taking command of your own business, your own life.
Oh, yeah.
What you're doing.
Right. Exactly. And so that was interesting for me. I did not see command coming, and I definitely did not see communication going. Like for me, communication is about telling stories to inspire people to do things. Command is simply telling, right? Do it now, go, or we're not going to do this, whatever, and I can tell you that for me personally, that's definitely come into play. Now, what's interesting is, I got to look at this real quick. If you don't mind, it'll just take me a minute. This is something I'm teaching the inner circle. I have an inner circle group of advanced strength, learners, we'll say. And one of the things I can tell you all about command is where is it? Where are you? Okay, so command is external. Okay. And communication is internal. So, what that may mean for you all that are just kind of on this journey is that communication is a strength that comes from inside. Communication, command is a strength that comes from outside. In other words, it's less about what I have inside of me and more about what do other people have inside of them. This is how I nerd out about strengths. Right? So me, it's like, how do I activate what's inside of others more than what do I activate is inside of me? Both of them are about what other people are doing or not doing, but it's where is it coming from? Where is the energy? For those of you that have been following me a while, do you all sense that or feel that? Maybe the tone of my voice has changed over the years where I'm less, trying to entertain you and more about maybe challenge you and invite you to be challenged or want to be challenged. Whoop, 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 whoop. Hold on. I started messing with things. So, Robin, you've been following me for a while. Do you feel like that's true?
Actually, Eddie, I do. I know that what I see, if you don't mind me saying
Go for it.
so,
Yeah, your turn. Go ahead.
is that I feel that especially with strategic I look at as a powerful, I'm gonna get there.
Mhm.
And then, okay, I'm gonna have other people help me with the rest. And now you are more powerful at strategic is lower because you are more powerful at, for lack of a better word, following through with
Mm.
all that you do. You do amazingly better at following through with things. And I want to commend you for that, young man. Old man.
Thank you. That
Yes.
was something I was consciously working on very
Yeah.
hard.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes
Okay.
complete
All right.
sense.
So the follow through, good. See, this is a great stuff because we're talking about what's improving, right? Well, how is Eddie evolving? And that's why we take the strengths assessment, not necessarily to show, what you're not able to do anymore, but it's just how are you evolving? How are you getting better? Because communication didn't disappear completely. It went to 13, right? For example, right? Um, which is fascinating there. Achiever moved up. Okay. So actually it stayed the same too. Robin, any other, since you've known me for so long, very intimately, you know me very well. We've had numerous conversations. Do you have any other observations on what's going on in the new one versus the old one?
The other thing, if you don't mind me saying, is look at Lerner, you guys. Lerner in his old was number 6. Eddie Villa, and now it's 20. Eddie Villa, for a learner, I look at a learner as someone that always wants to get information, that wants to learn, that wants to grow in their learning abilities. Eddie Villa has become so much so that now people will follow him. And he's learned to the point, and you're right, Spring, he's learned to the point that now he is so confident, and that's good, in who he is, that Lerner is lower because he's still willing to learn and to learn from other people and listen to them.
Mhm.
But he's also willing to be that powerful leader that Lerner has become less of a thing. Yeah, yeah, his sponge is saturated. He's done the learning, and now all he wants to do with his kind, awesome heart give to so many other people. And I think that's why Lerner is so much lower.
Yeah, it
Thank you.
moved right into the meh. Like, so everyone understands the mess zone is like between 14 and 26. It's like, okay, that's cool. Not really my first choice, but it's cool. And what's interesting is for the longest time, I'm so glad I took this again because I was still holding on to making learners such a priority, but that one was starting to feel a little off. And how interesting it is that maximizer took its place. And it's almost like, okay, I learned. Now I want to maximize.
And what does maximizer mean? Maximize what it means that you want to take what is
Mhm.
and make it even better.
Yeah, isn't that what I'm
Yeah.
doing
So you've
constantly?
got all the learning down pat. I mean, that doesn't mean we don't all want to learn, but he's
Right.
got it all down pat. And now he just wants to maximize what all that knowledge he has in that handsome head of his, he just wants to
Ah,
take it and just explode it on all of us wonderful people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good observation. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Anybody else have something they noticed? Feel free to just unmute and go for it. I'm not looking at the chat. Spring, if you could look at the chat. If you see something in the chat worthy mentioning, let me know. This is a really powerful thing to do with people, is to sit down and talk about, why did that one go? Or why did that one move? And where were you before? And why is it here now? Like, look at how harmony seems to be moving up. Right? Harmony is like creeping up. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Deliberative went down, but harmony is like moved up several spaces. And so the way I look at it is like harmony has this desire to start coming in, but it's saying not yet. Maybe in another 5 to 10 years, you'll
I
rock a
don't know.
little
I
bit.
don't think it's gonna creep up there for you. You trigger
See,
people too much.
yeah, maybe.
See
But
if I can
maybe,
sugarcoat that.
yeah, exactly. All right. Who else
think
has some thoughts?
the
Let's get us new.
futuristic is moving up. I think you're closer to your vision.
Yep. Yeah.
And that you take action more than getting bogged down in the planning, because you leave that to Spring and Jay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you all, you all don't know this part yet, but in my top 10, there were 9 what I call internal strengths. And that went down to 5, where a really good friend of mine, Rhonda, said, I think that means you're more trusting of people now. And I think that's true, because that was actually a really big problem for me, being very untrusting of people. It was what I would call a crutch, where I was having difficulty relying on people, because I truly had the belief for the long time is that people will only do things for me if I do twice as much for them first. I carried that belief for a long time, and I don't have that belief as much anymore. I'm more willing to trust and try and ask for help if I haven't already done a million things for you. That's something that's interesting that's happening. So maybe that's why harmony's moving up. I don't know.
Look
All
at
right,
that.
anybody else?
Look at that anchor, kiddo.
Yeah.
Self-assurance and ideation now, and that doesn't mean that you're not. Self-assurance went down to 9.
Yeah.
Ideation became more important for you,
Mm-hmm.
as that anchor. And it's not that you're not, the self-assurance is that we just know what we know, and we know that it's right.
Yeah, I
And
got a new
maybe
first step
that's a
with that
little bit
one.
of belief. What?
Yeah, I got a new first step with that one.
There you go.
To point out what's missing
Yeah.
and what needs to be activated on, instead
Yeah.
of just
Yeah.
trusting my gut.
Yeah.
Fascinating how that works.
It's interesting that individualization has come up.
Yeah. Does any relationship builders in the room want to comment on, why do you think individualization went from 18 to 8? It's a pretty big jump. It's 10 spaces.
I'm super happy about that. I've got
Talk
it as
about that.
number 1.
All right, Christy, why do you think it went up? Why do you think it moved up?
I actually don't know. Why don't you tell us? What do you
Well,
think?
let me ask you this. Does it surprise you that individualization is not in the top 10 in the original report?
No. No, it didn't.
Okay.
But I think
Go ahead.
so sorry about my voice a little bit winter here at our place. and the middle of the night. Maybe it moved up because the organization or your vision that you had is now pretty much growing and being constant, and you've got your great people that's helping you, that you trust, and that now because you trust more people, you can now focus on individual growth and on individual development.
I was
Yeah, in
wondering,
fact,
And perhaps you see your company as an individual.
yeah, in fact, Melody, it looks like she's kind of backing you up on there. She says, but with all your inspiration strengths, you are now ready to help people individually and customize for them. And remember that individualization is a connecting strength, which before, look, I didn't have one until 14, and positivity, and then empathy, which y'all see that dropped. And then empathy, right? So positivity stayed where it was, and then an influencing strength, another relationship building strength, sorry, moved into the top 10, which is interesting. I'm just like sitting here thinking, why didn't positivity move up? Why did that one show up? Why did that one move up? Right? That's fascinating, but it's individualization. So that means that, like, my rule's always been that if relationship building is not a dominant for me, then the individualization strength is used as an influencing strength. So I connect to what the uniqueness of the person is and move them forward, right? And that really details exactly how I work with people individually. Everyone gets uniquely serviced, supported, coached, mentored in a completely different way.
I wondered if that had to do with niching down too, that you're realizing that it's not one size fits all. And so you're individualizing things and,
Oh yeah.
speaking to this niche group and then maybe this niche group and then another.
Yeah. Holly says, now after all these years, you have the proof that everyone truly is different and unique, not just numbers you showed at the beginning of your presentation. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, I want you all to look at this. The more I take the strengths assessment, the more unique my strengths become, because I'm not just this new report, I'm the old and new report. Right. I want you all to know that. You're not, like, I used to tell people, burn the old report. That was bad advice. Right? I am the old and new report. I'm like to me, learner and communication, I know those backwards and forwards. Even though those move to, lower, I can still access them if I feel like it. But these new ones, like, I want to access them first, right? Instead of communication, how about I maximize, right? Instead of self-assurance, how about I ideation? Oh yeah, that's got me fired up right now, just thinking about that. Anyone new have some thoughts or feelings they want to share on here? I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to share. Some of us can share a lot easier than others, but if anybody wants to unmute.
I'm thinking that where self-assurance went down in your list, it may be because, like you say, these are what's important to you.
Yeah.
And as you had more self-assurance, you weren't using that. You didn't have to rely on that to drive the rest.
All right. I like that. Who wants to talk about this interesting gathering of relationship building strengths that seems to be happening at the bottom of my report? Look at that. This is harmony,
yeah.
empathy, adaptability, developer, and relator. All of them are like, I guess he wants us to be down here. Empathy nosedived from 17 down to 29. I think that one's the biggest shift. I think that one's, or maybe learner was the biggest shift. The second one was empathy. So learner went 14 down, empathy went 10 or 12 down.
So if relationship is about connecting with the right people, maybe you became less concerned about people falling into the category of the right people because you see all people as the right people.
Yeah, and yeah, there's a reason why the domain of influencing is move people forward, not the right people forward. There is a difference, right? Influencers, you feel it. Like, I'll move anyone forward if they'll just do the work, right? And they don't have to be the right people to do the work. And influencers are often surprised by who does the work and who doesn't. Influencers, sometimes we think we're masters of who's going to move forward and not, and we're often surprised. But with the relationship building, has to be the right person that truly connect. And I think my guess would be is like what you said, is I'm moving out that selective process and bringing more of an openness to anyone, right? Teresa says, but yet you're a great relationship builder and community creator, which proves you don't need certain strengths to get those things done. Yes. So can y'all read what Teresa just said? That wasn't just for me. That was for all of y'all that keep thinking that your bottom strengths have any indicator of what you can't do. They're really more indicators of what you don't have to do. You could do them if you want, but you don't have to. I met with somebody today and I was going through their strengths report because I can't help it. I do that everywhere I go. And when I said to her, her 33rd strength or 32nd strength was analytical. And I said, I want you to say this out loud. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. When she said that, I saw tears rushing to the top through her eyeballs, just tears immediately. It was like years of frustration suddenly getting released. The freedom that comes with strengths, which I'm learning, this is what we're really selling here, y'all. Freedom. And she's like, I feel free. I feel liberated. I feel like I can do more when I say I don't have to prove anything to anybody. And because she simply had analytical low. Imagine if she just did what Gallup told her and only got her top 5.
Hey, kiddo, look at this, though. It's interesting that analytical and restorative in your previous one was 29 and 30. When it moved up, they're right next to each other now, but restorative has taken a higher impact than analytical.
Yeah. It's
Isn't that
becoming
pretty
more
cool?
Yeah. Isn't that neat? Look, it's like, think of it like a race where everything high is moving to the middle and low, and everything low is moving to the middle and high. It's like, if you think about this, if I'm taking the strengths assessment every 3 to 5 years or 5 to 10 years, they're moving, and they're moving around organically. And to see a couple of strengths, like they seem to be connected to each other, moving together. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. It seems that the like harmony, empathy, adaptability, developer, relator, those all, are like, I'll do all these things because I want to be loved.
Yeah, they're
And
grouping.
now I think you just know we all love you. And
Look
so
at,
you
yeah.
can
Thank
let
you,
that
Robin.
go.
Oh man, this community is amazing. Thank you, Robin.
And
Look at how
just as important though, Eddie, you love yourself more
Right.
than you used to.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Definitely.
I'm just
Well,
asking.
I believe that, but I don't know. Those of you that have been watching me for years, would you all say that's true?
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%.
And this is what I want people to experience. Like, do strengths, man. Do it for the long run. Like, there are people that have worked with me for over a year, and watching them, who they are now versus who they were, it's night and day. The certainty and their confidence and beliefs in themselves. And for you all, you're saying love. Whew. Man, that's too true. That's more true than I was ready for.
I mean, it's all about relationship. And so when
Yeah.
you're doing all those things for relationship, maybe you were losing some of yourself.
Okay,
Maybe it's
that's a good one.
because you told us all so much to love ourselves that you're finally loving yourself too. I don't know.
Well,
I'm just throwing that out there.
let's say this. Would a person who loves themselves more be more comfortable including people?
So true.
Look at what happened with includer. And look what happened to relator at the same time. You all know the difference between includer and relator, right? You've heard me talk about it. Can anyone have any theories on why relator went down, includer went up?
Because you're not having to stay, keep the people so close to support you that because you have more confidence, because you know who you are, and the influence you have, that you haven't had to, now you can include more because it's safer.
Spring can quantify this for you, Robin. So spring has seen me go through a lot of employees inside of Unleash Your Strengths.
Mhm.
And Spring, if you have any thoughts on this, do you feel like this include or increasing means like what Robin is talking about?
That, and you're more not concerned, but your influencing strengths is more wanting to include more people.
Mm.
You know for a fact that more people need their strengths to move them forward. And so the relator of connecting with those people one-on-one, of keeping those people, of influencing your small group of people has now changed, where you want to influence a larger group of people.
Oh yeah, that's it. I think that's it right there. Jackie in the chat says you are open to be more open to all relationship, not just selective. Yeah, I think you hit it right on the nail on the head there, Jackie. And Teresa says she agrees with Spring. So, all right, so let's give you all some principles that you can walk away with that you can apply to your own strengths report should you choose to do it again or work with somebody who has taken it again. Let me give you some principles, all right? If a person's if the number of relationship building strengths, so this is what I want you all to write down some things. I'm going to go slow here. If the person has an increase of relationship building strengths in the top 13. Okay, we're going to just look at the top 13 in general. All right. If a person has an increase of relationship building strengths in moving in the top 13, then that means there's a desire to be more present with people. Of course, the right people, but just be more present. In other words, be a little less demanding or judgy. Okay. So that's for the most part for the relationship building. Okay.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry. All
So
right.
that's okay. Sure.
Oh,
So if they have an increase of relationship building strengths in the top 13, and I did have an increase, even though it went from 0 to 1, that's an increase, y'all. That's an increase in desire to connect and be present with the right people and a little less demanding and pushy or selective, right? An increase in the desire to connect. So when you're going through a strengths report with somebody, if you see more relationships, say, well, it looks as though, and this is how I do this, it looks as though you've got some more relationship building strengths in your top 10. Would you agree that you have a desire to connect with people more and be a little less demanding and judgy? And watch them go, yes. And mostly because they've gone through some challenges in their life that have helped them realize that maybe this selectiveness is not helping them. Right. So then I can take a look at the old report and the new report and say, okay, now I'm going to consciously trust that. I'm going to put myself a little bit more out there. I am now that looking at that, how individualizations come in, I was like, oh, look at that. My heart is opening up a little bit more. I'm a little less pushy and challenging and a little bit more kind and patient. Just one. Don't get crazy, y'all. There's just one, but still, one is something significant for me. If a person has an increase in influencing strengths, the desire to get other people to do things has increased. Get other people to do things. In other words, I'm tired of doing it all myself. I need to get other people to do things. So that's increased. When you get into the inner circle, we can talk about the difference between energetic and influencing or judging, accepting and influencing, or internal and external. But for now, it's good enough. Just want to move people forward a little bit more. The desire to get other people to do things has increased, right? So obviously that increased for me. I went from 5 to 6. So let's go to the executing. When a person has an increase in executing strengths, the desire to do things themselves, to be personal producers, have increased. Mostly because there's a little bit of a more demand to make sure things are done the right way, which means they're noticing that there's a lot of things in their life that other people have too much control of, and they want to take some of that control. So the executor, if you have more executing strengths in your top 12 to 13, There's an increase in desire to be personally productive. Right? Personally, so I've got to do more. So as you can see, oops, I really don't want to do things by myself. I really need people to do things, right? As you can see, the desire to do things myself has decreased. So you can ask me that. You can go, hey, do you feel like the desire to do things yourself has decreased? Yeah. Yeah, I need way more people doing things. I got something significant to do. See how significance moved in? So me doing it is not going to cut it. I need more people. In other words, I'm really sitting here going, I really hope all these people at this roundtable will invite at least one person, and then we can double our numbers for next month. Right? Because I need you all to do something. That's me. That's how it's working in my strengths, right? I'm just being honest now. So would you please explain the top 13? Well, okay, so top 13 is, okay, so I always say top 10 because that's the easiest to focus on, but the reality is 11, 12, and 13 are pretty energetically accessible strengths. That's why I say 13. Okay, so last one. If you have an increase in strategic thinking strengths, right? If you see that, then the desire to get creative has increased. I'm going to say that again. The desire to get creative has increased. That means to create something new and different, to get outside of a box. So for me, it stayed the same. Even though there's different ones, the desire still stayed the same. Still got to be creative. It didn't increase or decrease. Stayed the same. And so I could say, yeah, my desire to be creative is the same as it was back then. The strengths changed a little bit, or how I'm being creative, but ultimately the desire stayed the same. So if a person has a decrease in strategic thinking strengths, their desire to be creative has gone down, which means there's more of a desire to get to work. We need more people to connect with or move forward or get something done. A little less creativity, because creativity takes too much time for the executor. Where obviously this person here, me, I'm willing to spend a little bit more time in creativity, a little less work, as long as I'm moving people forward and right and doing it in a unique way. Okay, so I'm going to leave my report up here just for another minute. What I'd like to do is we can wrap this up with a little bit more of a conversation without the screen up. So take your last looks at these two reports. Write down any thoughts you have. I'll turn off the share button and then go back to the round table. Now, this is a unique roundtable. I really wanted to focus on this concept of sharing with you all the difference between the old and new. I'm going to be doing a full training of this on the 21st with slides and examples. But for now, I wanted to get this out to you all as soon as possible. The inner circle saw my strengths and they broke me down like so well. And again, it was an uplifting experience. And so now it's your turn. Okay. Before I pull the strengths reports, anybody else have any thoughts or observations on what's on the screen? And then we'll go to discussion.
Yeah, I think so. I've been focusing on the bottoms,
Mhm.
and it looks like while you did get one blue into your top, your clusters of blue kind of moved down. So you
Yeah.
went from 25 to 28 with your, like right at the end of the meth into like bottom, like really
Yeah.
heavy bottom. So I think there's more of a concentration. While yes, you are focusing on individualization and getting this word out to everybody and teaching everybody to unlock their uniqueness and their gifts, I think as a whole, your connection also went more to the bottom too. Like with the softer, I call them softer relationship building strengths, like the empathy and the developer and the relator. I think those kind of traveled further down. So I think just like you said, there's just a different emphasis or a different focus on what's really, really important to you right now. because you had a green in your bottom before, you don't have that now. So your green moved up, I would say.
Yeah, context. That's interesting.
So I feel like it's just very, very purple and blue in your bottom now. And before there was a little bit more variety. So if I were having this conversation with somebody, I would bring that up too.
Yeah, that's good. Purple and blue in the bottom. That made me think of bruising. You know, maybe there's no, not maybe. Spring will tell you there's been some bruised relationships in the last 6 years, definitely. I've been hurt by some relationships, and of course, all hurt relationships are mutually hurting, right? So I've hurt too. There's some bruising. If you if you look at these strengths organically in that way, energetically, you kind of understand it's not a mistake that they're blue and purple. You know, if we think of bruising in that way, does anyone here know Laura Jacobs? She's amazing. She doesn't look at oils like most people. She sees them differently. This is kind of how I am with strengths. I think that's one of the reasons why her and I nerd out on strengths together. But like that means relationships have become a thing, an issue, right? In some ways. But there's still a desire to open up, which is fascinating at the same time. Boy, we are complex human beings. Rayanne, you have restorative high, don't you?
I do. And I am blue and green, so I guess I'm bruising.
Well, maybe. And then so restoratives, just so you all know, restoratives focus on foundations. For Rayanne, it's like if I get the bottom ones just right, then I can build on that for the other ones. Is that true for you, Rayanne?
Yeah, I think when I learned it, I was like infatuated with the top 10. But then as I started working with people, they were more infatuated with the bottom. And now my focus has kind of just went there because I think people think that they can't do their bottom or they're not good at their bottom. And I said, no, hey, you're going to always have to use your bottom from time to time, but how can we make it more desirable by using your top? And so I think that's just where my eyes went immediately seeing this. Well, first I wanted to see what your blue one that made it into the top was. But then I saw that as a whole, your blue actually went down. So there's a tug there still. In some capacity. And yeah, foundation is everything for me with the restorative. It's like for me, especially with the hypnosis, I want to get to the root of it. Like, why did that happen? What happened in these last 5 years, that made that happen? And you did a great job explaining.
Thanks. I appreciate that. All right, let's go to Donna, who's also known me for quite a while.
So you mentioned earlier that you like to do things with other people. You have to do things with other people, but yet all your relationship building strengths are at the bottom. I'm trying to.
Yeah, when you say with, think of it differently than connecting and more about inspiring. Right? So in connecting and inspiring are on their own two different things. Right? A person can be a relationship builder influencer, and for them there's a very like a gray line between the two, but for me they're very different. Right? To inspire a person to move forward is completely different than connecting with them. To me, connecting is being where we are and we're good. That is a fundamental violation of influencing. Right? For me, influencing is simple. Where are you? Where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? How can I help? Boom. There is no connecting in there. For me, right?
Yeah, that's totally different for me. So yeah, I get it.
Right. And so one of the things I think my theory also is that my relationship building strength, so everyone knows I'm not becoming this cold-hearted human being. The reality is that, well, let's do this. And then I think it'll answer. How many of you all have harmony, empathy, adaptability, developer, and relator in your top 13? Right? And how many of you all, if you have any of those in your top 13, here's my theory on this too, that I am so keenly aware that I am surrounded by relationship builders that my need to do it has gone down. Right? I see Spring nodding her head. See, Spring has known me like intimately for years when it comes to like how I feel and do things. So she's saying that. Like I think I feel like I've gotten to the point where like you know what? I don't like doing this anyway. I have many people that want to do it. How about You do that, I'll move my blue strengths even more down, and you take care of it, and I'll fit in more influencing. Like, okay, I'm laughing because I kind of think that might be true. And if Spring is nodding, then that's usually my go-to. Like, oh, well, if Spring says yes, then maybe it is true. Donna, does that feel right though, from what you know of me?
Yes.
And y'all, I still rely on people to tell me, because for me as an influencer, I could get very egotistical instantaneously. I mean, look at what I'm doing. I'm literally making an entire class about you all analyzing me. Is there anything more egotistical I could do? But the reality is I'm like leaning on your opinions and your feelings because it helps me to understand not just me, but I want to help you all understand how to do this for other people. So hopefully you all are getting a lot of value from that. I say hopefully, you see what I mean? Because I'm not 100% sure. I believe we are, but anyway, let me know if you are. Okay, good stuff. Let's go to Jackie. Jackie's got her hand up. I want to hear what Jackie has to say.
Hi, just got I'm actually looking at pairings as well, and I was
Mhm.
intrigued to see Focus and Arranger. So Focus and Arranger were 9 and 10, and then they went through to 10 and 18. Or no, 16 to 18.
Yeah.
And then what came in was the other two pairs, which was Command and Individualization, and they went from the 18-20 position into the top 10.
They literally just it's almost like they swapped positions.
Yeah, it pretty much looks like they nearly swapped positions, but it's
Very
actually
close.
intrigued with the pairings of those two and how they affect each other.
Yeah. So y'all, when when or if y'all take the strengths assessment, you're going to notice this a lot, that certain strengths just seem to be next to each other. And there's like an energetic magnetism there. Totally true. Like now, because you're mentioning pairings, I'm looking at other ones like intellection and responsibilities seem to need to go hand in hand, apparently. Which is fascinating, right, Jackie? This is why do those need to be together? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they have to be together. They were literally like everybody else is moving, but we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to stay right here. Yeah, you and me together. Why? What does intellection have to do with responsibility and vice versa? It's kind of fun.
Well, intellection's down in deep thought anyway. So as we go deep thought, so maybe it's something to do with that.
Is it the responsibility to be in the know?
That's pretty good. I like that.
Mm.
All right, Teresa, you've known me for a long time. What are you noticing? What are you seeing?
I have. I see a response from Robin Frazier in there that I'm loving. It goes right in with what I was going to say, that being transparent in who you are draws others closer to you. I have to applaud you. When I heard you took your assessment a second time, I was like all giddy, like, oh my God, because you did a complete flip-flop, a 360 turn from when I started and got connected in with you years ago. And it was all about like, yeah, you just take it once and embrace them. And here you are, you have learned, you have gotten wiser, you have decided that yes, it is a good thing. I know a lot of people around you have taken the assessment a second time, and here you finally did it. And I was just like so thrilled. I couldn't wait to hear your thoughts on it. And I feel it's a really vulnerable and transparent thing that you've done for us. And your vulnerability has just, I don't know, like I said, it was just thrilling. And I was just like, oh my God, he took it. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, okay. Let me go ahead. I think we've got enough, and I plan to do more, y'all. We're not going to just end it here on, but I have learned over the years since I took the first strengths assessment that if influencers would understand how important it is to be vulnerable, they would move people forward faster, much faster, because the way influencers talk, you would think they had all of it figured out. They had all the plans, they followed through on their plans, and everything goes exactly as planned. And of course, that's not true. So when an influencer gets vulnerable, they help the other people see, oh, look, this guy who seems to be having it all together has mistakes and is flawed and is just as messed up as the rest of us. And it kind of helps you to go, all right, well, then maybe I'm not so far behind as I thought. And when you have that thought, it inspires you to take a step forward. So that to kind of help you all understand the mechanics of inspiring people with vulnerability. The only thing is you got to learn, for those of you that want to learn how to be vulnerable in a powerful way, learn how to do it without looking like you're just saying this. Well, I'm just going to be me. And if you don't like it, too bad. That's not vulnerable. That is the opposite of vulnerable. That is annoying. But if you ever read Brene Brown, holy moly, I've never been given more clear breakdown of what it means to be vulnerable and how to do it. Then just read any Brene Brown book. It doesn't matter. Pick one and read it. And you will learn how to powerfully be vulnerable. She's genius. And all influencers should be reading her books so they can stop acting like they got it all together and realize the more flawed you are, the more inspiring you are. People don't follow influencers because of their successes. They follow influencers because of their failures. And I'm not just talking about the Gallup influencer. I'm just saying anybody who chooses to live a life of an influencer, you know, to do something to try to inspire others. It's because of the failures that they follow. So put them front and center, right? All right. I've ranted enough today. I love to hear any thoughts y'all have. We'll take the next 10 or 15 minutes and then I've got to run. I'll take my son and my daughter to go play some basketball. But any other thoughts, maybe even some feelings on some things that you'd like to see discussed in the roundtable? Maybe we could even talk about that if y'all feel like it. But the floor is yours, y'all. This community is yours. I'd like to hear anybody has any thoughts or questions or feelings they want to share.
Can I just say another thing, Eddie, quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
I sent you my 2018, then I redid it in 2023. I sent you both those reports. But in the middle, when they introduced the sales report, I thought, I'll trick the system. I'll answer it as a salesperson. And 9 out of the 10 were exactly the same, just in different order. And the only one that was different was one that was in my first report and not in my second report. So, you know, it's amazing how even if we strategically we try and go and trick the system, it's so fact. It's so true.
So fact.
Where we're at the moment, at that moment in time.
That's why I love that it gives you, like, you have to do it quickly. I know some people don't read that fast and they need the timer turned off. I don't know if you all know that, but you can have the timer turned off. But if you can read fast enough, do it with the timer because the timer will ensure more honesty, vulnerability. That's interesting, Jackie. Jay, your hand was up. Go ahead.
Well, there's a lot of great comments here, and I didn't talk too much because we had that opportunity in the mastermind to talk. So I want to give other people a chance. But I see, though, one thing in particular that I've noticed since I've met you is right around this time between June and September, you go through like a metamorphosis and a change. And so I love that ideation now is up at number 5. It makes sense to me because you're thinking, okay, it's time to change, right? I've got to think outside the box. What can I do? I'm going to take my strength report. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. Jared, does anyone ever see the cartoon Lilo and Stitch? And he literally grows an arm, you know? Yeah, that's typically this time of the year. And that's not painless. That's actually quite painful. As much as I have a smile on my face, it's to hide the tears that are coming because of how hard growing can be, especially when you choose to do it in front of the world. That's not easy. But I do it because I know that the reality is I do it because it makes me happy. So what makes you happy? What makes you happy? And then how can you do that all the time in a way that helps other people? Let me say that again. What makes you happy? And how can you do it all the time in a way that helps other people? Not necessarily help them move forward, but maybe help them connect. If you got a lot of relationship building strengths, what can you do that makes you happy, that helps other people be better connectors of themselves? You know, if you got a lot of strategic thinking strengths, how can you take what makes you happy to help other people think better? If you've got a lot of executing strengths, how can you do what makes you happy to help other people do things the right way? Right? That's what your strengths are. Your strengths are what you teach others, right? If you got a lot of strengths, that means other people don't have a lot of them. And then your job is to teach them. So if you're a dominant relationship builder, part of what you do is teach other people how to be better connectors, to connect with themselves, to connect with others, to connect with God, right? Like I know Robin Fraser has got a whole bunch of influencing strengths. She's all about trying to figure out how to get other people to move other people forward. She's not just moving people forward. She's like, how do I help you move other people forward? It's almost like, if you think about it, your strengths are what you're trying to teach other people how to use, even if they don't have them.
But yeah, we can't move other people forward until we first take care of ourselves. And we have to look at ourselves and we have to decide, okay, this is where I can help myself move forward. Okay, Eddie V, just smile.
Speaking like an influencer, man. Look at that. Relationship builders are like, oh no, not me. Don't focus on me, right? But the influencer's like, yeah,
That's
focus
what
on
we want
me.
to do. Yeah, we just want to think about, really do need to think about ourselves. And in all the strengths, move forward is in all of them.
Mhm.
If you think about it, or not all the strengths, but all the dominant domains, move forward. And I know that's hard, but it's what we all, I think, as a world, we just want to take the step that we have right now. And we want to just take just one more step to do or be or have whatever we want. So it's okay to move forward. I'm giving you guys permission. It's okay. It's okay. And do it in your strengths. Do it in your love for other people and whatever that might be for you. Yeah, I am influence.
Yeah.
I love
Relationship
what
builders, you could
said.
say it's okay to connect.
I love what you said, Robin, about sometimes we just have to set boundaries. I was just realizing I had my top 5 done initially,
Yeah.
and 2 strategic moved up into my top 5. Empathy went quite a bit down, and I know why. Because it was bogging me down. I was getting too caught up in how other people were feeling. And so that one became less for me, less of a focus.
All right. So relationship builders, right? You can go up to someone and say, it's okay to connect. It's okay to be present. It's okay to take your shoes off, put your feet in the ground and touch the grass, let your feet touch the soil. Yeah, relationship builders, you know what I'm talking about. Right? Strategic thinkers say, hey, it's okay to let your mind wander. So you can tell people it's okay to let your mind wander. It's okay to just visualize a future that could be exciting, or a present that could be exciting, or a past that could be more enlightening. So strategic thinkers, you can tell people it's okay to use your mind and let it wander. Executors, like, it's okay to be productive. Simple. That's pretty much all they would say. It's okay to get some stuff done while you're thinking and connecting. While you're connecting, can you move that over there, please? Put it where it belongs. I don't know why I just looked at you, Melody, right? Melody, it's okay for people to be productive. Yes. Please. Right. And influencers, it's okay to, and this one, it's going to sound weird, but it's okay to make it about you as long as you can make your story inspiring for others. Right. That's kind of what it is. All right. Do you have fun?
It's amazing. You guys are amazing.
So anybody that wants to nerd out about strengths and just have a good time getting connected to why we're here, what's the purpose of strengths, this is the great place for them. Anybody you know that you would love to invite to be a part of something like this, where we're hanging out, talking about things that are uplifting and helping us all see the value in our differences. This place is for them, right? We've got a more than enough value here. We've got strengths reports for them to break down, videos to watch, understanding of their strengths, plus this wonderful roundtable we're doing at least once a month, perhaps more. I will, I'm going to put, just for you all here who might have wanted it, I'm going to put the manifesto in the chat here. But while I'm doing that, does anybody have any, okay, so let's see. Can we ask somebody who hasn't shared yet an opportunity, if you'd like to share one thing you are taking away from tonight, what is it? Someone who has not shared yet. If you like, you don't have to, but I just want to make sure that you are invited.
I loved the okay statements at the end, especially it's okay to let your mind wander, you know, if you want. I liked all four of those. That was great.
All right, that's good. I like that too. Anybody else? Any other thoughts or takeaways from today?
You have more influencing strengths now, Eddie? I can't remember.
Yep, got one more.
So you feel
And
more.
two of the judgy ones moved in, two accepting ones moved out.
So you feel more confident about what you've earned and learned, and you're ready to really move forward and share. Is that true?
Yeah. So the accepting, just so you all understand, the accepting concept is the desire to go on a discovery, to go find out, to learn and try things and see what's true and what's not true. The judgy is operating from what is true, and there is no more discovery needed. So what that means is that my accepting strengths have gone down. The number of accepting strengths has gone down. More judgy strengths have come in, which means there's certain rules that I've discovered that I now must adhere to. Right. So I'll just tell you one, I don't work with anybody without a strengths report. Maybe when I first got introduced to strengths, I would have been like, okay, if you don't want it, it's okay. But now, now I have a rule. You have to have your strengths report if you're going to work with me. I have discovered that I will only work with someone who's got, and by the way, the top 5 is another rule. Nope. Top 5 is not enough. I can't work with you the top 5. I need the whole thing. Right. You know, I get that it's expensive for people, but it's my rule. I can't. It's like, for those of you with belief, you know what it's like when someone tries to get you to bend your rule. Can't bend my rule. Can't, because I've discovered that's the only way I can work with you. Or the only way I want to work with you. Otherwise I'm guessing. I just can't. Don't make me guess. How many of you all want to guess what a person's strengths are before you can work with them? Anybody?
I
No?
live with that all the time with my husband. I'm so irritated with him.
That's
He
how I'm
still
guessing.
won't take the stupid test. And
Let's
we've
take
been
it.
married for 37 years. I've even promised, I told him I would cut him off. And he still won't take the test. Okay, I've said it. I'm
There you
muted.
go. I love it. So at some point, the accepting becomes the judgy, and at some point, the judgy becomes the accepting. Maybe we can talk about that in another roundtable. All right, y'all. Well, I had a wonderful time hanging out with you all. Really, I know that I'm doing a lot of talking, and it seems like it's all about me. But the reality is, my favorite part about this is seeing your faces and hearing your feedback, and I can see you all thinking and going through this, and you're making choices and you're thinking about things in a different perspective, which is influencing the way you make decisions, which this warms my heart that you're all here. So thank you for all doing whatever it is you had to do to be here tonight. For those of you that questions whether or not you should be here and decide to be here anyway, thank you for doing it. I hope that you got something out of this where you're saying, I'm glad I was here. For those of you that have anybody that you think would be interested in being a part of something like this, feel free to invite them. This is, as you all know, this is not a place for anything other than we're just going to hang out and talk. So with that being said, feel free to unmute, say good night, and then we'll see you all on the next roundtable.
May the force be with you.
Good night, everybody.
Night, thank you.
Good
Good
night.
night,
Night.
all.
All right. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got a lot of value from there. If you're interested in learning how to take your strengths assessment, just let me know in the comments. I'll happily reach out to you and give you some information and link to take the assessment, of course. Or if you have your strengths assessment and you want to learn how to apply them, really apply them, get results, measurable results with your income, measurable results with your relationships, measurable results with your health, your relationships, your belief in yourself, and so on. My friends, comment below and I'll send you the info on how to join it. In fact, you can just look at the link in the description and get all those details. Have an awesome day. Thanks for joining me here on YouTube. We'll see you on the next video.